Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mind-Body Medicine for Chronic Pain. I am your host, Sean Hershey, and I'm so glad you're joining me. Okay. Before we get started, I want to make something clear about like the emotional work and the work of patiently attuning to your true self as you're healing from chronic pain. So, okay, first, a reminder. Remember, as we talk about on this podcast, there are three parts to the work of mind body healing. First, the psychological work. Second, the emotional work. And three, patiently attuning to your true self. If this is new to you, you can go back to the beginning. There's one episode on each of those three, but we are diving in today. We are just diving straight in, straight into the emotional work. So get ready. Here we go. So, okay, it's funny. As I've listened back to the episodes, like I listen back to each episode as it comes out. So for any of you who are listening on Sundays when these come out, me too. I'm right there with you listening to like, how did it turn out? So as I listen back to these episodes as they come out, something I've realized is like I'm really realizing the resonance of the idea that there are different levels to emotional truth. Nicole Sachs's first book was called The Meaning of Truth, and I'm like, yeah, like doing this podcast and sharing my journey in order to like connect with you and in order to help you. Like I'm really seeing how truth, I mean, if I didn't know this already, I'm like seeing it on a deeper level. I'm seeing how truth is a complex concept. Like in my podcast, like my explanations of my truth, like my emotions and my story, like as it relates to like my family of origin, my upbringing, how I feel about everything, like in my daily life. Um, I'm speaking my truth very professionally. Like I am speaking vulnerably, and definitely I'm speaking the truth. But as I've gone back and as I've listened to these, like as they come out, like the way I speak about my story on this podcast, it is professional, which I'm happy about, but it's not getting into like the deep, guttural, like the raw emotional depth of the truth that like must be felt and acknowledged in order to heal from chronic pain. Um and I want to just like take a minute to say this because I want to be clear. Like, as you're listening to this podcast and as this is part of your healing, like, use my story as an example. But also know that I take this shit a lot further when I journal and when I feel into my authentic emotions. Like, I take this shit a lot further. And I encourage you to do the same. Go there fully. Go there deeply. Go there truthfully. Like, go further than I go on this podcast. Because I also go further than I go on this podcast. It's necessary that you go further. Like I said, everything I share on this podcast is true. But if you're wondering, like, why does Sean's life sound so much better than mine? Or why does he sound so much more well adjusted than me? Or his family of origin story is so chill? Or you're asking, like, why do I have so much more trauma or so many more deeper issues than Sean? Like, why am I so much more broken than Sean is? Like, if you're asking that, that makes sense. That's because I'm speaking truthfully and professionally. Because this is like a public facing forum that I'm, engaging in as a professional. So my message to you is like, you have professional and public facing parts too. Awesome. Great. When it comes to healing, push deeper than that. You and me both, like we don't have to share everything with everyone. But in order to heal, you really do need to know yourself. You really do. Yeah. I also think it's important to say, like, in many ways, what I've been through trauma-wise has felt like subtle trauma. But I also I want to say this, like, of course, it feels subtle to me because, like, that was all I knew as a kid. Like, in my family of origin, all I knew was, like, a lack of, like a deep, authentic attunement to, like, the real me, and a lack of being, like, tuned into reality. Like, that is, like, a lack of being tuned into, like, reality as it is, rather than a reality of, like, as one wants it to be. Like, that is what my childhood was like, and I had no other worldview to compare that to. Um, I only knew a Catholic school where I felt out of place, and I felt so different and off, and I felt like something was wrong with me, but again, that was all I knew. That was normal. I didn't have another world where I did feel acceptable, like a human being who was valid. I didn't have another world like that to compare my world to. So it's very common to feel that whatever you've been through isn't that bad, and that's because you are used to it. Like, this goes for me, and the same goes for you. Like, your version of your story. All of us have a different story, yes. Um, and I need to have boundaries when talking about my emotional life in a public forum. And, honestly, I would recommend that you do too for your sake, so you can protect yourself and protect your emotions. But, those boundaries are up to you to decide, certainly not up to me. Um, but yeah, I say all this to say, like, take my example and then go further. Like, get angry, get raw, get sad. Do not act professional when you're tuning into your true self. Not necessary. You have parts of you that are not professional and are not well adjusted or whatever. So attune to those parts. And remember, like Nicole Sachs says, journal speak, which we'll get into more today. Like, we'll get into that more later in the episode. Journal speak is for you and you alone. You don't need to share it because other people won't understand it. Like I said, there are different levels of emotional truth, and I am doing the professional, public facing level of truth here, and it is true. And there's nothing I've said on this podcast that is not true, but, you know, go further. Go further. Okay. All right. 'Cause there are other parts of the truth that need to see the light of day and need to be explored, because the whole point, as you know, the whole point of doing this is so that your mind-body system no longer fears your emotions. That's the whole point. And, we don't need to see your emotions as a threat. We really don't. We really don't. Okay, so that is the intro to our subject matter for today. But before we get deeper into everything, let me say, if you're interested in weekly therapy, I would love to meet with you. You can certainly contact me through my website, and we can go from there. My website is mindbodymedicineforchronicpain.com or seanhershey.com. You can read about me, and there's a whole contact section there. What would happen is you would contact me, and then we would set up a consultation to determine whether we'd be a good fit. And then if you want to, from there we could get you set up for weekly sessions. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow the podcast, rate the podcast, write a written review. That really helps people find the podcast. So that would be cool. Please do so. Um, and you can also, if you want to, you can follow me on Instagram, which is I'm there at my gay therapist. Okay, so we are here today to go deeper into the emotional work, one of the 3 core pillars of healing. All right. As we're getting into this, let me start by saying this. There are many, many ways to teach your brain and your nervous system that emotions are safe. As you know, that's the whole point of the emotional work. The main recommendation for engaging in the emotional work is, as you probably know and you've probably heard many times, journaling. Journaling is a great idea. I highly recommend it. And we'll start here with an outline of journaling, so you really like get that, because it's such an important foundation. And then we'll get into going beyond it, like living the journal speak mentality. So I haven't gone deep into defining the term journal speak on this podcast. So let's go there. Journal speak is Nicole Sachs's term for the kind of journaling that she teaches. And if you want to know everything about journal speak and like specifically and exactly how she defines that term, get her book, The Mind Your Body. Great resource, and that will get you like deep into it. But it's enough to know the basics. And today we're gonna go over the basics. So, journal speak, as Nicole Sachs defines it, is, and this is a direct quote from her, which sums it up really well, going into your darkest room and turning on the light. I'm going to say that one more time. Going into your darkest room and turning on the light. Journal speak is journaling in a language, a new language of raw emotion that's sometimes extreme. And there are no caveats in the language of journal speak, no politeness in the language of journal speak, no political correctness, no people pleasing, none. The goal is to get to the raw emotion, like whatever you're feeling, also whatever you're not feeling. Explore, 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 dig, 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 feel, feel, feel. That is the language of journal speak. This, just to be clear, like this is not like on Monday I did this and then I'll write about it so that later I can look back on this and see what I was doing last Monday. It's not that. This is feeling into your emotions now in real time. So the prescription is write for 20 minutes and then you release it. Let it go, throw it away, delete it, burn it. People burn their journal speak. Don't let anyone else see this because it's a language that they will not understand. Your husband, your partner, your kids, whoever, if they read this, like, what they would be reading is like, I fucking hate him. I hate the way he blah, 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 whatever. And that is one version of your truth. like, don't lie. Don't pretend it's not, because that is one version of your truth. It's one version of mine too. With the people in my life, that is absolutely one version of my truth, but it's not your full truth. And it's not how you would communicate with like the people you love. So throw it away. Don't let them find it. They don't speak this language. They don't. And okay, so after 20 minutes of journaling, then take 10 minutes to relax, meditate, do something calm, like something that can bring you back to baseline and help your nervous system feel calm and chill back out. That is the process of journal speak. I recommend journaling as a key step in the treatment of chronic pain, truly. Dr. Sarno did as well. So his recommendation, which is also Nicole's recommendation, which is also mine, like, and I just have to say, like, here are 3 people recommending this to you because so many people resist it. But Dr. Sarno thinks you should do it. Nicole Sachs thinks you should do it. And I'm like, I think you should do it. Okay. Like, I think you should do it. If that's not enough, I'm like, I don't know. But sometimes that's not enough because resistance is powerful. That's okay. Dig deep. Keep moving. Keep moving. So set aside 30 minutes each day. At the beginning of your healing, doing journal speak every day is a really good idea. I now do, I will do journaling, honestly, pretty regularly still. I go in and out of it now. There are times where I won't do it for a while, but like I still do it pretty regularly. I mean, honestly, as I've been like newly putting out this podcast, a lot of emotions have been coming up. So I'm like, I need this. So I do it. So, and like, I'm saying this because I'm recommending like you do it too. Yeah, I just really recommend that you do it too. Okay, so start by generating 3 lists. This is your first journaling session. The 3 lists are 1, childhood and past stressors, 2, current daily life stressors, and 3, personality traits. And personality traits means like perfectionism, goodism, people pleasing, personality traits that just make it hard to be you. Fill in the 3 lists, go for 20 minutes, and then meditate or do something calm and relaxing for 10 minutes after. That is your first journaling session. Then, the next day, pick one item off the list and write and go deep. And then the next day, pick another item off the list and write and go deep. 20 minutes and then 10 minutes of meditation or relaxation afterwards. And add to the list as more stuff arises and just keep going. Just keep going. And many days, maybe you'll just want to rant about what you're feeling right there on that day, or you'll want to process. It doesn't have to be a rant. Like it can be just processing what you're feeling on that day. And you're not technically doing something from the list. Great, do that. Good. Like it's all good. Processing your emotions, feeling your emotions, it is all good. As long as you're not, like in your writing, you're not people pleasing, you're not giving caveats or invalidating your true self and trying to be good rather than be real. Like that's not speaking the language of journal speak. As long as you're not doing that in your writing, like it's all good. It's all good. So those are the basics of journal speak. And like I said, I mean, like if you want deep cuts, get Mind Your Body by Nicole Sachs. I mean, many of you have probably read that already. If so, awesome. If not, a great resource. But I mean, truly, like these are the basics, and it's not difficult to understand the basic premise. Like you just heard it, and you probably get it. It's not that complicated. And I will also say a defense against just doing the work and feeling your emotions for many people can be like, oh, maybe I missed something. Maybe I should read Mind Your Body another time. Maybe I need to learn more about journaling. Okay, it's always good to know more, but it is better to just do it, right? Like just feeling your emotions, just do it. I know it's scary, but like, yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. I shouldn't even say I think. I know it's the right thing to do. When it comes to healing from chronic pain, there are 3 parts to it. As you know, one of those parts is the emotional work, and I know it's important. I know it. Okay, so we're talking about journaling so that we can also talk about like doing the emotional work beyond journaling. So let's move into that piece for today. Okay, and I want to be clear about this. Like, I'm not saying beyond journaling, like we're moving into doing stuff that's quote unquote better than journaling. I'm saying beyond because it's like expansive. There's more than just journaling. But please understand that I am not poo-pooing journaling by any stretch. I am recommending that you do it, and I'm saying that I do it for myself, and it's been a core part of my healing. Highly recommend journaling. And we're also going to talk about going beyond. Not that going beyond is better. It's just, more expansive. There's more to feeling your emotions than just journaling. Like, you know what I mean? Okay. So, I mean, as you know, okay, well, what's the purpose of journaling? Journaling really serves 2 functions. First, as we we're talking about, teaching the brain and nervous system that emotions are safe. Second, helping you get in touch with new parts of yourself. Core parts of yourself. Like this is the patiently attuning to your true self. If in your journaling or your emotional exploration, like if you're consumed with the energy of like raging against your emotions or like desperately trying to fix your emotions, like that's not the purpose of this. Like the purpose is to teach your brain and nervous system that emotions are safe. So, if you find yourself raging against your emotions, okay, I mean, notice that. And then roll with that. Like, that's where you're at. And certainly, like, that's where I've been at many times. And like that aversion energy, like that need to fix energy, yeah. That's like the emotional landscape of where you are. So feel into that. Because that's safe too. It's okay to feel that too. You can move through that too. Like embody that and feel that and know it's safe so you can keep going. Um, but really, try not to stay in a place where you become so fused with that. like so fused with raging against your emotions. Um, because what we're trying to do is like use journaling and use the emotional work to notice that and then move out of that place and widen your lens. So we're getting into the mindset, like going beyond journaling, like what's the point of journaling? Why does journaling help? And what is the mindset that you can adopt through journaling and then you can also bring into the rest of your life. Um, because the journaling is not, as you can tell, this is not something to tick off the list. And people with TMS, myself included, oh man, we really are often, many of us, motivated by ticking things off the list. Literally, I have a to-do list for today, and record the emotional work beyond journaling is one of the things on the list. So I'm doing my list right now. And there's a place for a list, you know what I mean? But journaling is not a thing to just tick off the list. The purpose is, as I've said 1,000 times already, probably today, teaching your brain and nervous system that emotions are safe. Okay, there are many ways to do that, not just journaling. I'm going to tell a story from my life to illustrate a moment when this really clicked for me. Like when my understanding of like how to feel my emotions was deepened. And as usual, when I'm telling stories from my life, I encourage you to think about your life because you are the hero of your story, right? Not me. So use my examples as a guide, but like think about it and reflect on it for you. Like in what ways can you bring the emotional work into your life? Okay, so the story that I want to tell today, this was like 2 years ago. I was just at the beginning of getting into TMS work for myself. And my boyfriend at the time and I went on a trip to Fort Lauderdale, which is a very gay city in South Florida. If you don't know Fort Lauderdale, it's just north of Miami. I mean, I don't know. People probably know Fort Lauderdale, but you never know other people's frame of reference. Um, so I'm on this trip with my boyfriend at the time. And I mean, I think it was February. It was like February or March. And so it was cold in New York and it was like nice and warm in Florida. It was beautiful. Like, oh, damn. It's just palm trees. It was like, it's just gorgeous. The breeze, like it was beautiful. So it was like lovely. Um, but the trip, there were actually a lot of great things that happened on the trip and like a lot of fun had on the trip, but the trip was also really hard. Like the trip was also bad in a lot of ways. So we're on this trip in Fort Lauderdale, me and my now ex-boyfriend. We were in an open relationship at the time. So it was the two of us. We were staying with his friend. He had a friend who lived there. Um and so, yeah, we're in an open relationship, and this my ex-boyfriend, he was so fun, but we were not, like, deeply connected. Like, this relationship was not, like, it was just, like, in my mind, it was clearly not gonna last forever. So that's in the background is kind of like, how serious is this? What's going on for me? What's going on for him? Am I going to hurt him? Am I, there was a lot of emotional strife there. Um, and he was the kind of like, he was a fucking wild child. He was very fun and he was like down for anything and very adventurous, very like thirsty. He had like a zest for life, like he just wanted to drink it all in. And I mean, you know me, I think, from listening to the podcast. I'm a TMS person. Like I'm like nervous, tightly wound, uptight. Like, you know, we were very different, and it was so fun to date him. But I was also just like, I don't know. I felt like a loser half the time because he was so fun, and I was so like I was so like inhibited compared to him. I think that's probably the best way to put it. That's yeah. So all this stuff happened on the trip. Like one of the things was like, oh my God, like this one morning, like I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go to the beach, whatever, like do, whatever fun stuff that I sort of had in mind. And then my ex-boyfriend and his friend, this is like noon on like I don't know, a Thursday. And they're like, yeah, we're going to a gay sex club. And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, no, are you please, no, like, I don't wanna do that." And, we're in an open relationship at the time, and that was legit, like, he was totally allowed to do that, it wasn't that. But I was just like, "I am too sensitive for that." Like, "Wake up, good morning, you're on your vacation, we're going to a gay sex club, get ready." I'm like, "It's new no." Like, that was too overwhelming for me. And I honestly didn't go. Um, and I mean, it's like, like I just felt like a loser. Like I literally like they went to this sex club in the middle of the day, and like please understand, this is not. My intention is not to sex shame anyone who wants to do something like that. My feeling was that I was shaming myself. I was like, I'm a loser. Like this is what like gay men do, and I'm like too sensitive and inhibited and like overwhelmed by this prospect to do it. I am a loser. I literally stayed home while they were out at this place. I literally stayed home and watched The Last of Us, which is such a messed up show. Oh my God. That was when like the first season of The Last of Us was coming out. If you haven't seen it, it's like, oh my God. It's like a fungal disease takes over the entire world, and it's so fucking scary. I literally stayed home and watched that and journaled because I was just starting my TMS healing, and I was like feeling a lot like I was feeling really bad about myself. So I literally stayed home and was like doing journal speak and watching this show. I felt like a loser, such a loser. Oh my God. Um I was like, who am I and what is my life? And I'm trying to be like free, like doing TMS work. I'm like, my goal is to be free and like really be myself. And like, here I am sitting in my at now ex-boyfriend's friend's house in Florida alone, like trying not to cry and thinking maybe I should just cry. And I'm such a loser. Like I just felt like such a loser. So that was the vibe of the trip. Like, great times. Um, another thing we did was we went to this. I mean, let me be clear. There were actually a lot of like more fun times on the trip, but like that was this was also the vibe. There was also a point where we went to this gay nude beach, which I was like honestly excited for, but then we get there and like my God, like so many of the guys there were like so hot, like so conventionally attractive, and like clearly spent like a ton of time working out and like I don't know, like I I mean, I don't know. Do people still take like steroids or testosterone or whatever? Like is that I don't know if that's like very like 90s or if people still do that. I honestly don't know because I don't travel in that crowd, but if that crowd exists, they are on a nude gay beach in Miami and I saw them. So, I just felt so like, like really intimidated and just like feeling bad about myself. Like I'm not good enough. And I also have this, like, I need to break up with my boyfriend and I'm not even connected to him. And like, who am I? There were also a lot of like a lot of like older gay men in Fort Lauderdale, and that had me going as well. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to age. Oh God, I'm going to age. And if I hate myself now, oh man, how much harder is it going to be a gay man in this world as an old person? Like that was really freaking me out and really scared me. I was like, if I'm like too overwhelmed to go to a sex club at noon on a Thursday now at age 30, whatever, that's 2 years ago. So I was 34. I probably was 34 at the time. If I can't do that now, what? My life is only going downhill from here. I was just like feeling really bad. And of course, this I'm journal speaking now. Of course, my hope is that I feel much better about myself as I age and as I continue to emotionally grow versus how I felt about myself 2 years ago. And I know, all of this I'm sure sounds like very ageist, this stuff I'm getting into. But I just want to say these are like raw emotional things that were coming out. This is not obviously the full truth of life, as you know, because you understand speaking the language of journal speak. But I just want to make that caveat clear so people aren't like, oh my God, Sean Hershey is a terrible person. Okay, so we're on this vacation, and my overall thought is like, this is my vacation. Like, some people have fun on vacation. Some people go to Florida with their fucking boyfriend and do all this gay shit, and they come back and they're like, I had an amazing time. It was fun, right? Me, I'm having an existential crisis on this vacation, and I'm like, I don't like myself. Like, that was my vacation. Coming out of this, I'm like, I hate myself and I hate my life, and obviously I'm being a little dramatic, but you understand. So we fly out. Um, we get. I mean, literally, like, and I mean, I'm sort of like joking about it now. And because it is funny, but it's also serious. Like, I just want to be clear about this. Like, as the plane is like taking off, we're flying back home to New York, and I'm like, oh, thank God, thank God. And I'm like, okay, like, also going through my head is like, I need to break up with this guy. How am I going to do it? Oh God, yikes. I don't want to hurt him, but like this is going to have to be over soon enough. And the plane is flying out over the Atlantic Ocean. We can see, we're the crest over the beach below. It's beautiful, sunny skies. And I mean, I am the kind of person who gets scared of planes sometimes. So this happens to me all the time where I'm on a plane, especially takeoff, and I just get the intrusive thought of like the plane bursting into a million smithereens and me dying an instant death. Um, I get that every now and then in a plane. So I get this thought comes to my brain. Normally that like scares me deeply, and I'm like, no, 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 please. But literally, as we were flying out, I had that thought, and I was like, good, good. Oh, what a relief. Good. Like, just let me die. So it was, not that I was like actively suicidal, but like that thought felt comforting to me. Like, literally, I was at a place where like passive suicide felt comforting. So that's the place where I'm at, not doing well emotionally at all, having a total existential crisis when I'm supposed to be having fun. I'm like, I don't even know how to live my life. Um, and then we land in New York. It's cold. We land in LaGuardia. I live in deep Brooklyn. This is in deep Queens, so it is a long ass journey. I have to go back to my boyfriend's place, gather some stuff, and then from there, I have to take the subway literally an hour and a half to get back home. And I am just like, I am so ready to be home, like in my own bed, like take a shower in my shower and just like shake off this trip that really brought up a lot for me emotionally and just get cozy at home. And I am walking from his place to the subway on a busy ass street in Astoria, and which is a neighborhood in Queens. And I'm a good hour and a half away from home still. And I've got this stupid rolly bag, like clunk, clunk, clunking behind me. It's cold. I have this jacket on. It's February or whatever it was. People everywhere. The rolly bag is so loud as I'm dragging it behind me. I'm like dodging people. People are dodging me. And I'm just like, I am miserable. I'm miserable. And I'm like, I just want to be home. I hate. Oh, okay. So this is the important part of the story. All of this is to lead up to this moment, which was actually a massive realization that I honestly probably think about every day. As I'm doing this shitty walk with a rolly bag behind me, I'm just like, oh no, oh no, this is so bad. I feel so bad. Oh no. And behind the oh no is like, what am I going to do about these feelings? I feel so bad right now. Like, what am I going to do about this? And in that moment, what came to me was like, oh my God, I am spending all this time journaling and trying to feel into my emotions and trying to like get to my negative emotions. This is it. This is it. This is what I'm looking for. When I'm journaling and I'm digging, like, this is it. And what I'm doing in this moment is like, oh no, how do I not feel it? No, please, please don't make me. Oh God, no, I hate it. Just like get me home and in bed, and I want this to end. I want to die. I mean, I didn't actually want to die, but you know what I mean? I'm like, wouldn't it be a relief if the plane busted into 1,000 pieces and I just peacefully, my body floated into the ocean and that was just the end of it? You know, I have all this aversion and oh no energy to something that I'm actually also trying to feel into and trying to make safe. So in this moment on what was the street? I forget what that street was called. Whatever. I'm on this street. I have this like lightning bolt moment. Like, this is it. This is it. Rather than say, oh no, to all of these feelings, just say, okay. Just say, okay. Like, just feel it. And let me tell you, when you are feeling a lot of emotions like that, if you're in a place like that, you will feel it. Like if you tune in and you feel like, oh, you just say, okay, like let me let go of the oh no, let me let go of the aversion energy, let me just lean in and say, okay, you'll be feeling stuff. You will feel it in your body. So I was feeling it. I was feeling it like in my chest, in my stomach. I was feeling these emotions. And that's what I did. I had an hour and a half on the way home on that subway ride, and I just felt it. And that was pivotal for me. That was pivotal to learn how to lean into emotions rather than say no and avert my attention from my emotions. And what like really became clear to me, like that's like a mantra that I will repeat to myself often is rather than say, oh no, just say, okay. Ooh, so that has been foundational for me in like taking the emotional work beyond journaling and beginning to live the emotional work. And as you're, like I said, I want to encourage you as you're listening to that story, like take that in, you know, because whenever you're in the next situation where you're like, oh no, and yours is going to be different than mine. Yours is probably not going to be like, I'm too weak to handle like gay sex club in the middle of the day in the broad daylight. Like I don't know if that's your struggle, but it was mine in that moment. And it was obviously more than that. It was also like this relationship needs to end. Who am I? What do I want? What do I want my life to be like? Is this the kind of life I want? Is it not? I don't know what freedom means to me. It's like this stuff is obviously a lot deeper. But when you're in that place the next time, you'll probably be thinking, oh no, I don't want to feel this. And I hope that this comes to you. This, okay, feel into it. What is it? Feel it. Because that's it. That's it. That's what's safe, That is what's safe. It was safe to feel those feelings. It was. It really was. And it is for you too. Okay. And that is what this work is encouraging us to do. Like, this is a door to walk through. That's what this is encouraging us to do. And it's not only will it help you with the pain, it helps you with your life, right? Like, that's the best part. Okay. So some of the other ways in which I've done the emotional work beyond journaling and, brought this into my everyday life. So related, but different. Like, this is the second thing I want to bring up today. All right. For me, facing how I feel about my body has been important. So, all right, let me start this thing with saying this. In the gay community, body is considered very important. And I know like that's true in many communities, but like I can speak to this very clearly from from my experience in the gay community because that's my community and my experience. So in the gay community, one's like status, like high status, low status, desirable, undesirable. Do you matter? Are you irrelevant? Like what one's status and one's identity is very much mediated by how one's body looks. So yeah, I mean, identity. Just pull up any gay app and you see how gay men define themselves. So here's from an app. Literally, I looked this up when I was bulleting out the points that I wanted to make in this episode, and I I wrote these down. So I'm going to read them out verbatim. Um, okay, so here's an app filling out your profile. I am. Choose any 5 of the following: bear, muscle, guy next door, geek, jock, daddy, leather, college, otter, military, chub, twink, and so on. There's more. Then there's also I am into. Choose any 5 of the following: bear, muscle, guy next door, geek, jock, daddy, leather, college, otter, military, chub, twink, and so on. You get the gist. So, okay, I guess there are a few gay identities that aren't just blatantly about the shape, size, and appearance of your body, like leather, for example. That's like an interest or like a fetish interest rather than, something that's just like the shape, size, and appearance of your body. But most of these are just about the shape, size, and appearance of your body. So for me, yeah, I mean, this is important, and so as such, like my relationship to my body, like has been challenging in some ways, like in many ways, like because it matters so much in the world that I occupy. And that gets in my head, and those feelings get in my body. And that's why we're talking about this today. So, how does this apply to TMS healing and feeling into emotions? So, this is something I wish I didn't have a ton of emotions about. I wish it wasn't a big deal for me, but it is. So, and again, I'm talking about this for me, and I'm talking to you, as I have said a few times, because I want to encourage you. Like, what's the big deal in your life? Like, how does this land with you? Like, where it's a big deal for you and you wish it wasn't, but it is. Because those are the emotions that are important for you to feel into. Okay, so feeling what I feel when I look at my body without like jumping to trying to like fix it or perfect it or like that energy, just feeling what I feel when I look at my body. Like that has been a very important part of my healing because those are emotions that I avoid. Like I like to look at myself when I think I look good, and I do not think I look good. That's in air quotes all the time. So yes, like good in air quotes. We'll get into that in a minute, but I just want to put a pin in that. Like looking good, that is in huge air quotes. But let me say this first. I'm scared. Like I am threatened by the feelings that arise when I think I look bad, quote unquote. Like, scared and threatened to look in the mirror or at a picture that someone just took of me, like someone just takes a picture and they're like, oh, look. And I'm like, like, cause you never know what you're going to see. There are certain outfits that I really like to see myself in and like certain positions. Like, like when I look at myself and at my body in a mirror, I will always position my body in the exact same way because I feel I look, again, quote unquote, good from that angle. And like whenever I move into a different position, I'm like, oh God, like it's challenging to look and feel the feelings that arise because I don't always look the way I want to. And the way I want to is that's complex because it's like what that really is like, how does the greater culture want me to look? And I internalize that and I think of that as good and I think of anything else as bad. But feeling those feelings has been a very important part of my my TMS recovery process. Like it really has. Like pictures, like, certain pictures, I'll be like, oh, relief. Like I look good. And then other pictures, I'm like, no, delete it. Don't make me acknowledge that. Like, no, out, done. Don't. And like, you all know that feeling. I mean, how many people know that feeling? Like, I don't want to acknowledge that, like, sometimes I look like that. What was just caught in that picture, I don't want to acknowledge that sometimes I look like that. Don't make me acknowledge that. Okay, so I hope you can see the cover photo for this podcast episode. It's me in a tank top and shorts, and I chose this photo very specifically for this episode because of this piece here. This is a photo where I feel I look, quote, good. So here I'm at Storm King Mountain, which is in upstate New York, and I hope you can see it on whatever app you're using to listen to this. Like, I'm gesturing out into the wilderness and over the Hudson River. So not only does the vibe perfectly illustrate, like, the vastness of the emotional work and, journaling and beyond. Like, I hope this picture really gets that vibe, but also, very importantly, I want to be real about this. The pictures I use for the podcast covers are like definitely the pictures from my favorites album. These pictures, like literally this picture in specific, this has been used on my Hinge profile, my Tinder back in the day when that was the app. Like, these are the pictures where I feel I look most acceptable and most in line with what a gay man should look like in our society. Do I always think I look acceptable like that from every angle, in every picture, in every mirror? No. No, 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 no. Not at all. Sometimes I'm like, I look so feminine. Like, oh my God, the way I'm holding my mouth, it looks like so feminine. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat all at the same time. I'm like, I look like shit sometimes is what I think. And honestly, even in this picture, as I look at that, I'm like, there are some things that stand out to me as like not great. Which also, that's a very important side note. Body dysmorphia is a TMS manifestation. So, like, yeah, that's one of the ways that obviously manifests for me. But okay, here's the truth that I've come to discover. All of that is me. The images and the angles that I think are good, those are me. And the images and angles that I think are bad, those are me. I can spend my life trying and trying and trying and tension and tension and tension and desperately attempting to look acceptable or in line with the standards of the gay community. I can spend so much time on that, trying to look good, quote unquote good, at all times. Or I can relax and I can be me and live in reality. And in reality, I have to feel the emotional reality of living in reality, which is hard. Like I said, I wish this wasn't a big deal, but it is. Like, it just is. That is hard for me, to lean into just being me. And I know it's hard for you too, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. Like, and maybe maybe this, like, gay body image is not the issue for you, but something is. There's something that's hard for you about being you. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. I hope you're asking yourself the same question. What is that for you? And maybe there's several things, because yeah, I mean, there are several things for me. Several things. This is one of them. But there are many things. So I encourage you to feel into that and explore that. But okay, so I this is very important to address this. Like, I want to drill down on what it means. Like, we're talking about looking good. I said we'll put a pin in that. Let's get to that now. I want to talk about what it means to look good, quote unquote, in the gay community, because obviously everybody has sort of like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However, aesthetics are political and politicized, and it would be wrong of me not to bring that into this discussion because it is so key. So I really love the work of a particular queer historian and scholar. His name is Jeffry Iovannone. I somehow stumbled across him on an interview called "How Diet Culture Harms the Gay Community," which is like speaking my language. So this was on a podcast called The Food Psych with Christy Harrison. And I've never listened to a single other episode, so I can't endorse that podcast or say anything else about it. I'm going to put a link to this in the show notes. If you're interested, by all means, please take a listen. It was very informative for me. But, you know, if the food psych podcast, I don't know what it's about. If it's about like change your diet to eliminate your IBS symptoms, then you know that I don't, yeah. You know, that doesn't really work. And you know that I don't really agree with that. So I just want to put in that caveat. But wow, this interview with Jeffry Iovannone blew my mind. Um, and yes, I'll put a link to like this interview and a couple of his other things in the show notes so you can take a look if you're interested. So his work validates for me, like, oh yeah, like this is why I have an issue with like all these emotions around my body and how my body looks. And like, this is why I care so much about this. So, okay. So in his interview, the food psych interview, he, of course, gets into talking about the different types of gay men, you know, same as I was just talking about a minute ago, like twink, otter, bear, and you know, as if this like sums up the totality of a human person, but that's, you know, that's in our culture, so we have to be real about that. Like that's how people think. um and he says, so okay, so Jeffry Iovannone, what he says is what no one talks about is like, what are these types being compared to? What is the normal or the standard that these bodies are deviating from? And he defines something called the normate gay, which he describes as, like, in the gay community, like the normate gay is an unspoken but constantly held in mind gay male ideal body, which is like tall, masculine, lean but not skinny, big but not like big, muscular but like not like ridiculous, like young but not, you know, not like a little twink, you know, like mature young, like abs, usually a white body. This is racist. Cisgender, because this is transphobic and very anti-femme. Short hair, some facial hair, but, you know, not too much. Some body hair, but not too much. You know, like the perfect everything. Like I mean, you can picture it. Like this is what mainstream gay culture sees as the gay male ideal body type. And it like, it goes beyond body. Like it's about presentation overall, and a very important part of the normate gay, the presentation of the normate gay, is that he presents himself as masculine. He does not present himself as feminine. Um, and as Jeffrey says, the normate gay doesn't exist in its pure form in nature. It does not exist. It is solely in the mind. And he goes on to say, talking about diet culture and gay male mainstream culture as two separate things is actually misleading, because what he says is mainstream gay male culture is diet culture. And he goes on to describe like the normalization of like the desperate attempts to look like the normate gay, like that gay culture completely normalizes desperate attempts to look like the normate gay, like the fitness journeys and eating clean and like getting your macros and counting your macros, like that stuff, those terms, those are masculinized ways of talking about being on a diet. All the stuff like that. And the overarching message is that like the main activity gay men and gay culture engage in is attempting to embody the ideal of the normate gay. And he's like, yeah, diet culture is gay culture. That is the main activity of gay culture. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, like, wow. Because I was like, I mean, I had not had like the normate gay named for me before, but I was like, this is the source of like so much for me, like so much shame and striving and perfecting and trying and stress. Like it's this is the source of so much of that for me, because like, yeah, you know, like the working out, the eating healthy, which I put in quotes, obviously, like this is the source of so much of that stress for me. And I mean, an important thing to say is like I don't have to restrict foods anymore because of IBS. Like I have proven that I can eat a lot of stuff and not get sick or not get symptoms caused by the food. Like I've eaten a lot of stuff. In fact, going back to for the Fort Lauderdale trip, for example, like I remember eating this thing of pita bread, and this was like early in my TMS journey. I remember eating that and being like, wow, I can eat whatever I want because I know my IBS is TMS. And obviously I was like strictly gluten free for a long time because of my IBS. So I know I don't have to restrict my foods because of IBS anymore. I know that. But I still restrict myself from foods for this reason. Like for the reason of like wanting to look like the normate gay and wanting to embody the normate gay. I still do that for sure. And I'm so used to it. And it's really about this. It is about trying to embody the normate gay. And, when I look at this picture of me on the mountaintop, I'm like, yeah, that version of me kind of looks like the normate K. And how, in the fakest air quotes ever, how happy, like, I mean, I don't even know how, the words are so limited. Like, how happy does feeling like the normate gay make me? But happy, like really, like let's unpack that. We don't have time to unpack that, but you understand. I have these kinds of pictures, like this one on the episode cover. I have these saved in my phone, easy access to like soothe myself. So that when I'm not feeling like the normate gay, I can just check my favorites album and remember, oh, when I was on Storm King Mountain, sweet relief, I looked like the normate gay. You see how toxic that kind of happiness is? Like, you see how unreal that kind of happiness is? It's not authentic. So I can do that. I can quote unquote fake soothe myself like that. Or this is what's important for the TMS work. Or I can stop myself from trying to fix it. I can just allow it. I can stop fixing the negative feelings that I have about my body and about myself, and I can just feel it. Just feel what it feels like to look at myself and just feel what it feels like to be myself. That's the other option. And you understand TMS, you understand the mind-body connection, you understand chronic pain and threat and fear and stress and aversion. You understand how chronic pain is all about a sense of threat. Pain is a danger signal. You know that. So which, I mean, like let's look at this through like the eyes of like very clear logic. What is going to cause chronic pain and what is going to end chronic pain? You know what I mean? What is going to cause chronic pain and what is going to end chronic pain? If one version of looking at yourself is like desperately clinging to a sense of self that's only there sometimes and that is not there a lot of the time, and you just want to feel good, in quotes, that desperation, that tension, that threat, the threat of the bad self, the threat of the feminine, too fat, too skinny, the threat of no muscle mass, the threat of that is so great. And you repressing that, I mean, you know how this works. That leads to the pain and the symptoms. And allowing it, let's flip that coin. Allowing it, just being like, yeah, this is also me. I am this and I am that. All of that is me. I hate that, but I must learn to be okay with it. That's healing, right? Okay, yeah, and I mean, truly, I mean, it's so helpful, Jeffry Iovannone's work. For me, I just want to like, just like bring this back to like the political element of this, like, because my negative feelings about my body are literally just all the ways in which it differs from being the normate gay. I'm too feminine, too skinny, simultaneously too fat. All those things. So, some of which I'm like, I don't even want to talk about on this podcast because I'm like, my God, like the negative thoughts that I have, but leaning into and being okay with that. So important. So important. That urge to fix, when you see images of yourself, that urge to like fix it or avoid it, all of that is oh no energy. And in my healing, And as I would encourage for you, really trying to lean into and embody the okay energy, getting out of oh no and getting into okay. That is hard. That is hard. And yet I encourage you to do it. I really encourage you to do it. And here's another thing that I just want to add for me. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's my authentic self who cares what I look like, or if it's like trauma of being in a shallow community that's making me care so much. Like, I mean, it's honestly, it's probably a little both. Like, I'm still figuring that out. Cause like in my childhood, the funny thing was, like, I was not allowed to care about how I looked in my childhood. That was strictly forbidden in my house. Like, to care about that, like, it meant you were vain, materialistic, not virtuous or moral. Like, that was not allowed. So, like, that was a whole trauma of its own. Like the childhood messages were like, shut down any part of you that cares about how you physically appear to the world. But I do care. I do care. You'll notice, like, I put pictures of myself looking like the Norm 8K on my podcast. I care, you know? Um, but I'm like, how authentic is that part of me? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's what I want to make this point, because that's why attuning to your true self takes patience. But the moral of the story is that now I am looking at myself and feeling the feelings that arise. And yes, feeling the feelings sucks, and feeling negative feelings sucks. It's hard, but feel it. Feel it, feel it, feel it. Shame, discomfort, aversion, energy, fear. That's a huge one. Fear of rejection. Like, this community, like, the gay community is supposed to be like a safe haven for me. And I fear rejection by the gay community so deeply, because like, it is a judgmental and mean community, you know? And if I don't fit in with the straights and I'm rejected by the gays, like, then what? I'm so alone. Fear of rejection, fear of irrelevance, fear that no one will notice me, no one will care about me. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. How easy would it be to be like, oh no, 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 no. But we, as people healing from mind body pain, we have to be brave enough to say, okay. Okay. And it really is remarkable. Like, when I really lean into just like feeling the feelings I have when I look at my body, it will always help those feelings move out. Like, literally always. Like, many times not right away. Like, that will take time for me at least. But it always helps those feelings move out. And then in the end, I'll end up feeling like my body looks kind of good. Like, even though it's not perfect, and even though it's not like exactly how the Norm 8K would look, but the emotions do flow out. Like, it's kind of shocking, but I do want to say that, like, it works. It really works. Like, feeling your feelings and not pushing them away really does work, and it helps them move out. Which goes back to what we talked about in the emotional work episode. If you haven't listened to that, I would recommend you go back. But allow, name, stay, release. Straight from Nicole Sachs, from her work, so helpful. Allow, name, stay, release. If you stay with it, if you allow it, if you just feel it, that really leads to release. Okay, so that is living the TMS emotional work beyond journaling. Whew. So that's the mindset that I have really worked on developing myself. And I want to share with you, because I encourage you to work on developing your version of that mindset for yourself. And, like, body stuff is one example of that that's been very important for me. And there have very much been others. And I can't include every single example, because we've only got so much time. But one other thing I do want to talk about before we're done today is therapy. Um, so maybe someday in the future, I'll think about like doing an episode about my own TMS therapy stuff, or like at least what I feel comfortable sharing about my own TMS therapy. But what I want to say is, like, yes, we're talking about the mindset, developing the mindset of bringing the journaling attitude into your life, bringing the okay energy into your life, and letting go of the oh no energy into your life. But I know people also want like tangible examples, and the hard thing is like, the tangible examples, a lot of them you're going to have to come up with on your own because your life is different than mine. But I want to give you one like very clear, tangible example of what you can do to take your emotional work beyond journaling, which is therapy. You know, that is a nice, easy, obvious step forward. Um, so I want to say having a therapist was very helpful for me, and it is very helpful in general. When you're doing this work, like when emotions are repressed and when your true self is repressed, it can be very hard for you to see it. So a therapist, like especially a therapist who understands TMS, a therapist can be very helpful. So if it's hard to feel your emotions, work with a therapist. If you want help holding your emotions, if you're stuck and lost and you know there must be more, like, yeah, work with a therapist. Doing the emotional work is hard. Not only is it's hard on two levels. Like, not only is it hard to do it, that's the first level. The second level is it's hard to even know what to do. It's hard to know where to dig. It's hard to know what to feel. That's the nature of repressed and unfelt and unacknowledged emotions. You know, like that's the nature of, you know, emotions that you're too scared to feel and that you're defended against. Like that is TMS work. I mean, you'll notice like in my story of coming home from Fort Lauderdale, literally I was filled with all that aversion energy. And it was like a lightning bolt that came down on me. It was like, oh, this is the moment, like, this is it, you know, to bridge that gap and have those things, to have those two things integrate in my brain, to have like these are my emotions on one side and I am trying to feel my emotions, but it's hard to know what to feel on the other side. The lightning bolt was those two things coming together. And that is hard. Like that doesn't happen every day. That's why it felt like a lightning bolt. And that's why like a therapist can help you make those connections. Um, so, okay, going back to the episode where we talked about why is it so hard to talk to others about TMS. If you haven't listened to that, I think that's a really good one. I would recommend going back to that one. Um, but one of the things we talked about is like hand washing was adopted so quickly in the practice of surgery. Like in that episode, we talked about like there was a time in history when surgeons didn't wash their hands before surgery, and then the practice was introduced and it obviously improved surgical outcomes so drastically that it very quickly became standard practice in surgery. That was a change in medical practice that happened quickly and caught on quickly. Mind-body treatment for chronic pain has not caught on quickly at all. It has not been mainstreamed quickly at all. And, you know, there are a few reasons for that, but here's at least one obvious reason. Hand washing is easy. You just do it. Getting comfortable with unwanted emotions is hard. It's confusing. You can get lost. Like some people give up before they really like get to the actual depth of healing, and then they return to like the structural cures that don't even work, because people give up because this work is hard. It doesn't work for some people because they hit roadblocks and then they're lost and they don't know how to keep going. And when they've hit a roadblock, they think they're at the end of the road and that it doesn't work for them. So they stop and they think it didn't work when it could have worked. So if you're lost and confused, and if it's hard for you to find yourself and attune to yourself, yeah, work with a therapist. That's a great way to take your emotional work beyond journaling. Like imagine working with a therapist who's really attuning to you and helped you attune to yourself. Like they'd work with you on like tuning into your true self and uncovering your true emotions. Like any good therapist can do that with you. You don't have to do that alone. And yeah, I mean, yes, you've probably been in therapy before, I know, but going to therapy before you understand the TMS mind body healing mindset versus after you understand, that is a game changer. You're ready to take your therapy deeper now. Now that you know. Now that you know how to listen to your body, now that you know what your pain means, you're ready to take your therapy deeper. So, yeah, great way to take the emotional work beyond journaling. The main thing though is the mindset. I mean, the main thing is the mindset, and it's you know, it's hard not to offer like you just do exactly this, but that's not how it works. Like the main thing is the mindset and figuring out how to integrate the mindset of going from oh no to okay in your life. Okay. This is a long one, but this stuff is so important. I'm like, I want to say this. I want to close with this. It takes work to heal, and feeling into your emotions can be one of the hardest parts. But also, in terms of it takes work to heal, I want to say many times the hardest work is learning how to relax and let go. Like, it can be the most work. The hardest work is to stop doing so much work and just relax. Like, when you've been so desperate to fix all your emotions for so long, like, you're used to having such like high alert and high intensity and high energy, and like threat detector is on, like you're so used to that, all that striving and trying and stress. I'm like, I can't even breathe as I'm talking about it. It's stressing me out. That causes chronic pain. It's very hard when you're so used to that to just calm down. So please know that, like, feeling your emotions and journaling and, going beyond journaling, all of this will be hard. And my recommendation is to do this all in this with the spirit of allowing your emotions, not forcing yourself or like torturing yourself with your emotions, like pushing yourself too hard to like brutally and forcefully feel. Like, let go, like allow, gently allow, stop the repressing, stop the fear of your emotions, stop seeing your emotions as a threat. And you're probably not even aware of how much you see your emotions as a threat. I certainly wasn't when I started this work. Just allow all the forcing and all the like trying. Yeah, it's hard. And so you have to try. But like I said, sometimes the hardest thing is just letting go and allowing. Oh, so many times, like that is what has like really helped me take the next step in my like with physical relief of my symptoms, is just to let go. Let go. Because when we say this work is hard, yeah, it is hard. And oftentimes that right there is the hardest part, letting go. Okay. All right. So there we have it. If this is speaking to you and you want some help or guidance or individualized support, like you want, like you want a therapist, like we're talking about, you want, maybe you would like me to get to know you and attune to you so you can better attune to yourself. Great. If you're interested in weekly individual therapy with me, like you can contact me through my website and we can certainly make that happen. But please know that like you can do this work with any therapist. Like any good therapist can help you with this. So a TMS specialist is helpful for sure, but you can do this either way. Um, so please know that. Take care of yourself. Allow yourself to have good things. Allow yourself to do this work. Like, bring this into your life. Like, whether or not you want to engage in therapy. Yeah. The important thing is like, how can you bring this energy of feeling your emotions into your life? It's on the page with the journal. And how can you bring it into your life? Okay. So yes, if you're enjoying the podcast, please follow the podcast so you get the next episodes. Rate the podcast, write a written review would be awesome. And you can follow me on Instagram at MyGayTherapist if you want to follow me over there. And like I said, if you're interested in Jeffry Iovannone's stuff, if that speaks to you, it will be in the show notes. Okay, wow, that was a lot. This was a super long one. I didn't know that I had so much to say on this topic, but it's so, I don't know. I'm like, this is important stuff. If you made it to the end with me, hi. I'm I'm glad you're here. I'm here, you're here. I see you. You see me. And I will see you next week. And if you made it this far, I'm going to give you a treat, which is a spoiler for next week. Next week is an interview with Dr. Dan Ratner. And the interview, I actually just did it yesterday, right before I recorded this. It's, they go a little out of order sometimes. But the interview drops next week. And it's a great interview. And Dan Ratner has a lot of really cool stuff to share with us. So you'll get to hear that next week. So stay tuned. All right. I will see you then.